Imagine waking up in mud so deep that your boots weigh more than your rifle, eating cold cabbage soup for days in a row, and fighting not just the enemy, but hunger, disease, and lice. This was the everyday reality for millions of Soviet soldiers on the Eastern Front. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into what life was really like for a Russian Soviet soldier in World War II. Not just the battles, but the daily grind, the food, hygiene struggles, and living in trenches. In my opinion, we often hear about strategy and battles, but the real human story is in the small, brutal details. So let's unpack that experience in a way that's easy to understand. From what I've read and from many historians' accounts, the day started early, often at dawn, with orders, drills, and preparing weapons. There was very little personal time, and rest was rare during major operations. Unlike Western armies, the Red Army did not regularly grant leave, even for basics like bathing or rest. If a soldier managed to bath or shave, that was already a victory in itself, in my opinion. This lack of normal life blurred the line between survival and combat. Every minute off duty still felt like enduring the war. Food was one of the biggest hardships. Soviet soldiers typically ate twice a day, once after sunrise and once after sunset, but only if they were not on active combat duty. Frontline troops often went hungry for days. The field kitchens tried to serve staples like kulish, a millet soup or porridge, borscht and shi, traditional cabbage soup, stewed potatoes and buckwheat, black bread, and small amounts of meat or fish according to ration lists from 1941. A soldier's daily ration included things like bread, groats, small portions of meat and fish, oil, sugar, tea, salt, and vegetables, but often the reality on the ground was less. In my opinion, food was more than fuel. It was hope. Even cold soup could lift morale because it meant they hadn't been cut off from supplies. Aside from hunger, one of the biggest daily battles was hygiene and disease. Soap was scarce, and running water was a luxury. Soldiers often had to wash in rivers. Lice infestations were extremely common. Up to 90% of troops dealt with them. In my opinion, lice weren't just annoying. They spread diseases like typhus and made soldiers miserable. Even a bathhouse built near the front was a rare morale booster. Soldiers treasured those moments to wash, shave, and feel human again. Trenches were both protective and punishing. Soldiers lived in muddy, cold, and cramped spaces with little shelter from weather or artillery. Constant rain and snow turned trenches into water traps, and trench foot was a real threat without dry socks or boots. Supplies had to be carried through networks of trenches, and it was normal for food to arrive hot rarely, if ever. In my opinion, staying in trenches wasn't just physically hard. Mentally, it was exhausting. Soldiers were always on edge, waiting for the next attack, the next ration drop, or the next chance to even wash. Being a Soviet soldier in World War II was not just about combat. It was about hunger, disease, poor hygiene, cold trenches, and mental exhaustion just as much as fighting the enemy. In my view, this human perspective makes the sacrifices of ordinary soldiers even more profound. They fought not only bullets and bombs, but dirt, cold, hunger, and exhaustion every single day. If you want to learn more about the everyday experiences of these soldiers, and maybe understand them better, check out the sources below.